Never hit the bag without wraps and gloves.
Grip the ground and then I go this way.
Impact training is different for every martial art. Today we are talking to different martial artists with different purposes about how they do impact training.
So for this video, you know I had to come here because I wanted some super smart expertise knowledge. Mike, if you'll stand over there.
Oh, gotcha.
If you are training for a fight, like if you are practicing punching people in the head, how are you training on the back?
So I actually put on my 4-ounce gloves when I hit the bag. I wouldn't recommend this to most fighters because they haven't conditioning their hands from the beginning.
Sure.
But I was walking on a wooden floor with my knuckles when I was 5, so my tendons and joints are already, you know, conditioned for this. From wheelbarrow, and we would hit the floors.
Are you okay?
That's like the toughest thing.
You want to stay here with us? Do you need to stay here? Are you safe?
Did Jesse make you do that?
Does Jesse make you do that? Your ability to deliver force will almost always at maximum power, not when you're moderating your power.
Yeah.
People say, I train max power, bare knuckle on the bag every day.
Yeah.
I think that means you don't know how to punch. I think that means you don't punch very hard. Because if you know how to punch, yeah, we're talking to you. Me and Oliver are both talking about you.
What the?
There's a reason bare knuckle boxing back in the days fought way different.
Yeah.
Like with these parts and these fragile parts compared to today's boxers that have a lot of wrapping and stuff.
I think that my ability as a person who understands the mechanics of delivering force will always outstrip my entire body against these little tiny bones that he mentioned.
Sure.
I think that that can't be understated, and people will be like, I can totally punch my hardest against a bag bare knuckle.
Sure. I think I can punch 95% of my power without, but I wouldn't have to.
12, 15 for me.
That's fair.
I'd say a bag and a skull is way different too.
That's true.
So I can go 100% on this, but I don't know, 50% on a skull.
So you are using 4 ounces as like a, one, like that's what you were gonna use. But two, it's a cool middleman between like having these huge boxing gloves where people like slap with the wrong part of the hand. And so you're trying to create good habits in stuff that you're already gonna be doing.
Yeah, and really learning how to aim with the small gloves, as you said. Like you can't get away with these punches when you just have a little 4-ounce piece of leather here.
Sure, right. So now I want to go even more karate. So I'm probably introducing him to a lot of you guys right now for the first time you've ever seen him on the internet. This is Jesse Enkamp, the karate nerd. If you are training impact with your punches, how are you doing it?
Well, first of all, I need my karate uniform.
Sorry.
Secondly, I need a tree.
Okay, so
That is not the idea.
that's not the idea?
No. So I need to borrow your belt.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah. So we're gonna recreate a makiwara, a traditional striking pose of old school karate. So wara is the name of the rope that you actually use.
The belt touch the ground.
Yeah, I don't mind. Or do you mind?
No, I don't care.
We're gonna do this. Now, in Okinawa, the birthplace of karate.
You keep saying it and I'm trying to butt in and say it before you and I haven't been able to pull it off yet.
In Okinawa, they would actually use a rope. It's called a wara. Maki is this action of wrapping around. You're just gonna attach this here, okay? So now we kind of have our own improvised makiwara. Now the idea here is that you will get a little bit of knuckle conditioning, but also, more importantly, kinesthetic feedback, which is what happens when you actually have impact. And a lot of traditionalists don't have a lot of impact. They do body conditioning for blocking and for kicking, but rarely conditioning or impacting with their knuckles. Unless they punch something soft, like the opponent's belly. Which doesn't give a lot of that feedback you need.
It's different.
Yeah, because I want to make sure I have the correct structural alignment to receive the same amount of force that I deliver. Now, all I do is I depress my shoulders, I sink my chi, which is just a fancy word for your breath usually, grip the ground, and then I go this way. And I try to hit it in the center, so make sure you look at the target and not anything else.
No, you actually did, and what happened is you hit a knuckle or something and it shot your hand down.
Well, so more importantly, use your 2 big knuckles. You can see a little bit of dirt on that knuckle right there, which is a good sign, right?
Yeah.
Beginners usually hit with these knuckles, which is not a good idea.
Yeah, smaller bones.
Exactly. And just start slowly. Just start feeling that alignment, okay? And then you can gradually increase the intensity. Okay? Try it?
Yeah, let's try it.
What's that for? Stop. You just want to have a look at your knuckles? Okay, cool. That's right.
Got a little bit of air in there, you know?
Yep, yep. How does it feel?
I feel in those 2 knuckles,
yes.
which is good.
Yes.
It's not bad. Nothing feels like tweaky.
Good, and as you're in that punching position, if you can just assume the same position, you want to feel the connection through each and every joint, all the way down to the ground, right?
I'm curious, how often do you move around?
Yeah.
And like, bong, bong, like you're doing different things.
Yeah.
Things that you're not like planning out ahead. Like, you know, you're thinking like 10 of these, you know, a number of these.
Exactly.
You're thinking a number of these.
Yeah.
How often do you flow between them? Like, do you do that at all?
Yeah, so that's what you would do when you're more advanced.
Sure.
So there are different levels of progression. You start in isolation.
Yeah.
Next is integration, which means combination.
Right.
And the last one is improvisation, which means that you can move around and just play around with it.
Okay, makes sense. Which is just like you do with a heavy bag. How often do you do this?
So obviously it depends on your goals. Now, what the old masters would say, especially there was a famous master, his name was Itosu Anko. He's known as the grandfather of modern karate.
Okay.
Perhaps his most famous student was Funakoshi Gichin,
Gotcha.
the founder of Shotokan, the world's biggest style, right?
Yeah, where were they from?
Okinawa.
The birthplace of karate.
Ah, you got to.
I had to bait him into it, but I got it eventually.
And so what he said that you should do 100, but then on your non-dominant side, you should do twice as much.
Oh,
yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah, absolutely. That's something that even though I was a karate practitioner since I was 3, we didn't do a ton of that.
No.
We did like the stand-up bags.
Yes.
Obviously, when you're doing this, you're not wearing gloves, wraps.
No, exactly.
You want it to be as pure of a connection as possible. Like, you're not aiding yourself in any way.
No, exactly.
You have to make it a perfect connection between you and the tree.
Exactly.
And the tree or the makiwara.
Because again, we're coming back to that term, structural integrity. We want to learn how to properly stack our bones and align our joints.
Right. So I think that what ends up happening in this video is we have different extremes. We have like the extreme of pure, just a punch.
Yeah.
Right? On something that is not going to give it all.
Yeah.
And then we have something where we are hitting something that gives and moves a ton with things that we force not to give and move at all. This, we're not gonna be able to punch as hard.
No.
But we learn like really good micro technique.
Yes.
Where macro, like strengths, we can do the heavy bag work with, but our technique might lack a little bit and we might not even know it.
I've been saying that same shit, that it matters what you want to get out of it. This is what we do here. We train mostly all sport-based. Everyone does bag work in wraps and gloves every time, except about once a week. I do bare knuckle for the aforementioned purpose of testing your alignment, like making sure you are punching correctly and you're not hitting pinky like this, you know, or you're not hitting like that, Yeah, I agree. I don't think I've ever put a kid in gloves and wraps and anything like that. And maybe it's just a difference in like length of training. There's gonna be times where you don't need to punch as hard. That's important to learn.
Because you can always slap instead.
I would extend my arm and I would slap his ear.
That's true too. You can always slap too. But I think there's times where like the accuracy of literally feeling one singular knuckle. Cliff, what do you think? If you're doing impact training like heavy bags, pads, like how often do you go bare hand?
Oh, not anymore, but I remember when I was growing up, I mean, we did do that. Conditioning the knuckles, like we hit the heavy bag, we did like, you know, push-ups on the knuckles.
Sure.
That's about it.
So, you don't at all anymore though, right?
Why? Any specific reason?
It's because I'm getting old.
Okay. Essentially what we're coming up with here is that if you feel the need or you feel like you can, it is super important for you to learn how to structurally align your punches, because if you only hit with wraps and gloves on, what's going to happen is you're going to make your wrist vulnerable to yourself. Like your own self might be punching in ways that are putting weird little hinges in your wrist or your knuckles or your joints. You're hitting with the wrong things. But if you want to develop power safely, that is the most Taekwondo thing you've ever said in your whole life.
No, it's real. I mean, we have a lot of fun and all, but like, if you do too much of that stuff, I think that you can really hurt yourself.
That's fair. There are different circumstances to train impact in different ways. Like, the more that you add variables in like power and range and like movement, the more you should wrap up and be safe and protect your hands and your wrists and your joints. If you take away some of the variabilities of movement, you can add some, like, you can work on your structural alignment a little bit better. You can work on conditioning your knuckles.
Yeah, when you strip away some of the risk, right, you can go a little...
Can you say something smart for me about that?
Yeah, like, we're idiots and you're the smart... You're like the smartest guy.
Say something smart.
I'm letting you dig your own grave.
Just say the smart thing.
Yes, say something smart.
Train hard and good luck and have fun.
No, wait.
It's just different levels of progression, in my opinion.
Okay.
So you have to start somewhere. Like you start with the alphabet before you learn how to read a book, right?
Sure.
And then maybe even write a book one day.
Yeah.
I wrote a couple, right?
Links in the description below.
And in Japanese, we call this shu-ha-ri.
Shu-ha-ri.
Yes.
Learn the rules.
Learn the rules. Break the rules. Make the rules.
Yeah. And that sums up a lot of things, actually, in martial arts.
Yeah.
If I came to you and said, I want to be a pro boxer, how should I train? You'd be like, yeah, in your gloves and your wraps. Yeah. And if I said, I never want to compete and I only want to learn self-defense, you might tell me, well, you need to spend more time bare knuckle so you understand how hard you can actually punch without hurting yourself, and you understand the alignment of everything. And if you do some of both, you know, Cliff is a professional MMA fighter, but also does security for like clubs and stuff like that. Sometimes he's fighting in gloves, sometimes he isn't. He needs to know how to do both.
So the answer, which is going to solve all of your problems and make you a better martial arts, it depends.
Yeah.